You're listening to How to Drink Less, and I'm your host, Adriana Cloud. Whether your goal is to cut back, take a break, or say goodbye to alcohol for good, this podcast will help you stop drinking on autopilot, learn how to manage cravings, and feel fully in control around alcohol. It's easier than you think. Listen on to find out how. Hey everyone, it's good to be here with you again. Today I have for you a really important episode that can change how you think about alcohol forever. Not to oversell it, but that's what I really think. Now, I need to set the scene a little bit first. And I want to ask you if you think of alcohol as good or bad. When you drink, do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that's a bad thing? This might seem like a trick question. You're listening to a podcast called How to Drink Less, so it's a safe assumption that that's what you want to do. You want to drink less or not at all. And if that's your goal, I'm going to guess that you have some opinions about alcohol and about drinking and how they're bad. And of course, that makes sense. Those of us who get to a point where we know it's time to do something about our drinking, we don't come to this point because alcohol delivered buckets of happiness and positive outcomes only. We get to that decision slowly and painfully most of the time because we've experienced some negative consequences from alcohol, whether that's our own drinking or someone else's drinking, or maybe both. But the point is that by the time you're ready to change your drinking habit and you're trying to choose the non-alcoholic beer or the lemonade or the soda with lime, you've probably gathered some pretty substantial evidence that alcohol is bad, at least some of the time. And similarly, you've probably come to the conclusion that drinking is bad, at least your drinking, at least some of the time. And conversely, if you're trying to change your relationship with alcohol and cut back or take a break or quit entirely, you might think that on the days when you don't drink, you're being good. Because that's the goal, right? That's the whole purpose of this work, isn't it? To be able to say no to alcohol. That's what we would likely label as success. And of course, success is good, right? If you're nodding along, I want you to know I'm with you. By the time I started to work on changing my drinking back in 2020, I also had come to view drinking through this binary of good versus bad. On days when I drank, even though my goal was not to drink, I berated myself and shamed myself, and really I was quite mean in the way that I spoke to myself. And on days when I stuck to my goal or gritted my teeth through temptation and managed not to drink, I allowed myself to think I was being good. It's all very common, all understandable. But this is a narrative that I want to challenge today. What if we ditch that whole framework of good versus bad? What if we forget about these labels for a minute? Because they're not actually helpful. Labeling your behavior as good or bad does not actually help you to change your behavior. I know because I've tried it myself, and I know because I see it with my clients, and it doesn't help them either. Instead, this is the question I want to offer you. Do you like your reasons for drinking? Of course, to answer that question, you have to first know why you drink. You've heard me talk about this before on the podcast because that's one of the pillars of my work, that if you want to sustainably change your relationship with alcohol, you have to know why you drink. And by sustainably change your relationship with alcohol, I mean making lasting changes, not just white-knuckling your way through a challenge only to get back to drinking the same way once the challenge is over. And I'm also of the opinion that in order for that change to be sustainable, it has to also feel good. If you're managing to stay away from alcohol, but you feel miserable the whole time, and you're jealous of everyone who still drinks because you think they're having more fun, that doesn't count as sustainable for me. That's an unpredictable pressure cooker, and you don't know when it's going to blow up. So, if you're not already clear on why you drink, that's where you should start. Next time you have the urge to have a drink, just ask yourself why. Now, the first answer that pops into your head might be, I don't know. And that's normal too. Many people aren't given to self analysis, so if you're new to the work of building self awareness, you might not have a ready answer. But if your brain says, I don't know, I want you to gently but persistently challenge that. What if you did know? What if you took a guess? What is the most likely reason? And let me give you some examples because that might help. When you have the thought, I need a drink, or a drink would be great right now, here's some possible answers you might come up with. Maybe because you love the taste of a crisp Sauvignon Blanc. Maybe you want to shut off the inner critic that's telling you you're lazy because you didn't cross off all the items on your to-do list. Maybe you want to drink because it makes sitting through dinner with your in-laws more tolerable. Maybe a cocktail or two help you to be more confident and talk more at social gatherings rather than standing in awkward silence, wondering if other people are noticing just how awkward you are. Maybe you simply want to drink because it's 7 p.m. on a Friday, and that's what you always do at 7 p.m. on a Friday. Maybe you want to drink because you've had a hard day and you think you deserve it. Maybe you rely on alcohol to help you fall asleep or to manage chronic pain. Maybe you want to drink because your partner just poured a drink and you suddenly have FOMO. When I was still drinking, I drank for any number of reasons. I drank because I was lonely. Sometimes I drank because I really liked the taste of certain drinks, like Amaro Montenegro or a Negroni. I drank because I believed it helped me to relax. I drank to avoid facing the fact that I wasn't happy with what my life looked like in terms of my relationship, in terms of my work, my finances, my health. You could say that I drank to avoid reality. And you too might recognize that you drink for a variety of reasons. Please don't make that mean that you're doing something wrong or that somehow that means you're doomed or you will struggle more. It's completely normal to drink for different reasons in different situations. We're just gathering data here, and there are no wrong answers. And once you have some idea of why you drink, then the next step is to ask yourself if you like that reason. Sometimes I would ask my clients, what's a good reason to drink? But to be honest, I don't love that language of good because it implies certain reasons are bad. And that's why I prefer the question, do you like your reasons for drinking? And this too might sound like a leading question, but I promise you that it's not. I am not trying to get you to admit that you don't like why you drink. That's not my goal at all. You're an adult with free will, and you get to make your own choices. It's not for me to tell you how you should live your life. But I do want you to tell yourself the truth, and that's what I'm hoping that this question can do for you. For me, this is how this all unfolded. I didn't like that alcohol felt like a need. I didn't like feeling like I wouldn't make it through the day unless I could drink, or feeling that I couldn't have fun with my friends if there was no alcohol involved. And as for drinking to numb feelings like loneliness, while that offered relief in the moment, ultimately I had to be honest with myself that I didn't like being that kind of person who had zero emotional resilience and had to outsource her emotional well being to a bottle of Prosecco. In other words, drinking in order not to feel lonely was not a reason I liked. And similarly, drinking to avoid the fact that I was unhappy with my life, well, I wasn't super proud of that reason either. It didn't make me feel good. And as for the drinks that I enjoyed the taste of, did I like that reason for drinking? Okay, that was one that was the least problematic. Consuming something because you enjoy the taste is okay in my book. But of course, if I was really, really honest, it was not just the taste. It was also the buzz that I was chasing. And there were the consequences too. And when I weighed the consequences of my drinking against the pleasant taste, I had to conclude that the taste alone was not worth it. Your mileage may and will vary when you do this exercise. Do you like drinking to alleviate social anxiety? Maybe, maybe not. Do you like being someone who becomes the life of the party after a few cocktails? Maybe, maybe not. You get to decide, but I really want you to start asking this question. So, next time you pour a drink or you think about pouring a drink, pause and check in. Why am I drinking right now? And then, do I like that reason? You're not looking for a good answer or a bad answer. You're just being honest with yourself. That's it. Because when you start to examine your reasons without judgment, you interrupt the habit. You're no longer drinking on autopilot, and that's how real change begins with awareness and honesty and curiosity. This isn't about shaming yourself, but about making choices you actually feel good about and building a life that doesn't require a buzz to be enjoyable. You don't have to change everything all at once. You don't even have to stop drinking. But if you can start to notice your reasons for drinking and ask yourself if they align with the version of you that you want to become, that's a really powerful step forward. And if you want support in figuring out how to do that, that's what I'm here for. I have spots open for private coaching right now, and I would love to talk and see if we're a good fit to work together. You can book a free consultation using the link in the show notes. We'll talk about your drinking habits, what you're struggling with, and what it might look like to feel proud of your reasons, whether that's for drinking less or for not drinking at all. Just being honest with yourself about that will take you farther than willpower ever could, I promise you. All right, my friends, this is where I leave you for now. Take good care, and thanks for listening. If you're looking for practical advice for how to say no to alcohol and say yes to yourself, you will want to get on my email list. Sign up to receive my free guide with 7 steps to kickstart your sobriety. The link is in the show notes, so go and grab it now, and I'll see you soon in your inbox.